going to be a quick video, this one. I promise you. But as you can see, today, we're talking about the SCUF Vantage. Specifically, this is the Call of Duty Black Ops 4 one that I was giving it champs. Now, you can't get these in the UK yet. I think SCUF are trying to work on it. I spoke to them about it at champs and sort of tried to ask, well, why haven't they been made available to buy over in this country or anywhere in Europe? And the reason is because the deal has been struck with Sony US to have them over there. Of course, they are going to be trying to sort that out with Sony Europe as well. But first and foremost, let's have a look at the controller, because I'm going to break it down and what I like about it, what I don't like about it, which is actually pretty, it's the short list, it doesn't exist. But look at it. It's a very, very pretty controller. Very, very big. A lot of people, if you like an Impact, sorry, we'll just try and get my eyes in here. This looks creepy. If you like an Impact, you'll like this. It's a big controller. Like, I personally always used to play with an Xbox controller, so it's one of these things where I'd prefer to have a bigger controller because I'm originally from Xbox, and that's just sort of what I was used to. If you don't like the normal PlayStation controller, this is a great upgrade. Now, let's first and foremost go into the basics. If you've never had a SCUF before or never seen a SCUF, they've got these things called trigger stops at the back, by the way. I absolutely love this logo. Trigger stops at the back to help you, well, it helps the triggers go down and register quicker. I've got mine quite high at the moment, as you can adjust them, as you can see there. So if you like spin that round, which is easy enough to do, you just spin it around like that, then it hits low and your triggers are hitting really, really fast. So they're obviously good for throwing grenades, throwing stuns, that sort of thing, any equipment on Call of Duty, which is obviously the main thing that you would want to use this for, then that's good. I mean, it's a quick, snappy thing. You can get that there very, very fast. These are obviously the basic things that have been on SCUF since day one. I remember I had my first SCUF on Xbox 360 way back in the day. Anyway, these paddles, a little bit new, and they've got like this sort of, as you can see, it sort of sits in there, so you get your finger and you can't really miss it. Like, even if the edge of your finger is hitting that, you hit it quite nicely. And another thing, just, sounds beautiful. It sounds so good. And the thing is as well, it's really responsive. Think of like when you're clicking a mouse. Like, I've got my mouse, which is like, this is an FPS mouse, and you can hear it. It's a similar sort of click here for the SCUF Vantage, of course, and of course you've got the lovely Vantage branding on the back. Now let's move into a couple of things that are different about the Vantage from other SCUFs. Now, one thing that I actually really, really like is the option to use it USB or Bluetooth. So these options are down here, as you can see on here, this side. If you want to use the controller Bluetooth and use it wirelessly, you flip it over to this, which is what I do most of the time. But if you want to use it USB as well, then that's absolutely no problem. You can flip it to this, and that's really good for competition, because obviously there's sometimes a lot of issue with Bluetooth, that sort of thing, or has been in the past. It's not so prevalent anymore, but for competition use, just to stop any confusion happening, you flip that to USB, makes things easier. There's also the button assigned, so you would keep that on this side, so you would keep that turned off as per usual. But when you do want to actually flick over to using the different buttons, so if you want to change the buttons or change the paddles on the back, it's very, very easy to do, so everything is in the manual. I haven't changed anything because I let the standard outlet, which is like jump on the left panel, be on the right. I don't really personally use these middle two panels, but either way, the fact that you're able to customize that is very, very good. Of course, you can do that on the fly. You can do it very, very easily. Let's talk another couple of things about the SCUF Vantage. So something that's really cool that I don't use, because I don't use a controller straight into my controller. I just use a mix amp with my Astros and then plug in the optical cable into my PlayStation. I just use disco, that sort of thing. I don't use a controller. But either way, this little panel down here, you can use this to turn up and down your mic or the sound of your headset. So that's really cool, because that's something that wasn't really in PlayStation. It's one of those things where you'd have to go onto the menu and turn up the sound, whereas this will help you turn that sound up and down, so you don't have to fanny on one of these settings, that sort of thing. Again, standard buttons, but another thing as well that they do have are these new buttons on the side. I've taken them off because I don't use them and I was finding myself catching them, but they're really good to have if you want to try and get used to it. You can maybe add some other little things in there. Of course, you can assign whatever buttons you want to those buttons. Now, let's move into something a little bit more, well, not necessarily complicated, but the thing is, you can actually pop this off fairly easily. You can see the faceplate comes off at the side just here, and you can pop that off. Now, let's just show you. I mean, that was just so easy. Like, that comes off very, very quickly. And then what you have in here is everything else. So this is the inside of the controller. So you got your rumbles, which you can take out. You got your sticks, which you can take out and readjust very, very easily. I mean, there's literally, I just had to pull it. That's all you have to do. And you can just put it back on very, very easily. There you go, magic. So it's very, very easy to do. Now you can change out the D-pad as well for one of the circular D-pads, change out all these buttons for different buttons if you want to, of course. Another thing that they've added in, I'm just going to try and show you on this one, is the resistance for your thumbsticks. See those little orange circles where the thumbsticks go? So you can add different circles into there. So the resistance on the thumbsticks is either more or less. So say you want to try and be very, very accurate, you would probably want that resistance a little bit higher so you can be accurate with your movements. But if you want to be quick and fast and want to just make the sticks move as quickly as you want them to move, then you can move it down to something that doesn't resist as much. So it's something that's really good. Overall though, guys, I think just everything about this controller I really, really like. The faceplate itself is a bit loud for me personally, but it's the official Black Ops 4 one. I think I'll get something that's a little bit more, because they do a grippy one, so I think I'm going to have a look at that as well, as when I get back over to the US, of course, and speak to the guys there. But absolutely love it. The sticks that come with it as well are the concave ones, which I prefer over the rounded PlayStation ones, and everything about it is great. I mean, it's just the click of the R1 and L1 buttons. I use flipped, so I use R1 to shoot and L1 to aim in. And it's just that click, and it just helps. It just feels that that movement is sudden. And if I was to describe this controller as anything, it will be accurate. And I mean, that's like, don't get me wrong, I am the best COD player in the world, but it just, everything is so reactive and accurate. And it's just, it really has helped my game. Oh, also, didn't really realize, I mean, obviously I probably have realized when we played it, but there's a nice little grip at the back to keep things in there. This, I suppose, okay, if we go on the negatives, the faceplate that I've got, I said, is very shiny and slippy a little bit. But there is obviously different ones you can get, which would negate that. But yeah, I absolutely love it. SCUF, thank you very, very much. I got this when I was in Vegas. They gave it to me free of charge. But obviously, just to point out, this video was not sponsored. They did give me this, but obviously I'm just doing a review off my own back. So yeah, thank you to the guys at SCUF. It's a great controller, and go and get yourself a Vantage when they become available in Europe, of course. But if you're in America, I fully advise it. I think it's a great controller. Not really any problems with it apart from the faceplate. I would like something maybe a little bit grippier in there, but that will come, I am sure. Everything else is fantastic. Guys, if you did like the video, please leave it a like. I will leave a link to the SCUF gaming page in America to go and buy this one as well. Comment on what you think of the SCUF. I know a couple of people said it had its problems, but they released firmware updates and stuff like that, so things should be fixed by now. And if not, I'm sure SCUF will help you out. But anyway, leave your comments below what you think of the SCUF Vantage. If you want one, I might try and do a giveaway at some point as well if I can grab another one off SCUF, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, guys, we've got more videos coming up this week and over until Christmas. But if you don't tune into any until then, have a good Christmas, and we'll see you guys in the new year.